Here we go then. The Last Chance Saloon has opened its doors to the town, and a huge Easter weekend approaches as we go to Derby County on Friday, what we hope will be a really good Friday, and then back home against Bristol City on Easter Monday. And alongside me to preview both games will be the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe and Town fan Mark Crowther. Gents, now or never.
No second chances. It's yeah, it is win. It is must win.
Do or die, innit?
And we'll discuss both games right after this intro.
I believe our supporters are the best supporters in the country.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category in the Football Content Awards. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, we're going to look ahead to both Easter games here. Jimbo, Mark Crowther and myself are going to do that. We're going to focus more on the Derby game. Obviously, it's the first game, but we'll reflect on what we can expect and maybe not expect in the Bristol City game. We know that the situation is going to change in between the two, but some idiot decided that playing on Good Friday and Easter Monday was a good idea. Spoiler alert, it wasn't me, but that's the case. And so we haven't got enough time to produce all the podcasts that we normally do and get them out to you and everything else. So we're just going to have to combine this. So if the Bristol City game's a little bit null and void in terms of this preview, we apologise, but making the best of a bad situation, Jimbo. Very bad situation if you look at the league table.
Yep. I've got a fence to paint as well, so that's why it's still going. It's still ongoing. It's never going to end. And so that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
That fence gets more TLC than anything I know in my life. It was on about it in the last podcast, still on about it in this one.
It's by the time I've got to one end of it and done a coat, I need to do it all again. It's like that bridge where you never end up finishing it.
What happened to one coat paint?
You tell me. Listen, this is how desperate it is at the moment. If anyone's got any absolutely tips how can paint a fence where you don't have to like dip it in the paint pot every 5 seconds because the fence panel eats up paint, hit me up. I'm desperate.
How about buying fence panels in the colour that you want the fence to be in?
Or just pay someone to paint it?
Here's a man who's never painted a fence panel who thinks you can just buy it in the colour you want it. It comes in one colour, wood colour.
I hope the rain that come down on Sunday and Monday hasn't taken that first coat of paint off as well.
It did. An absolute dampener, that one, out there slogging away, and it comes and rains. Unbelievable.
We're light in the mood already.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about football. Your fence is much more interesting, actually, as it goes. Many people expected us to be talking about biscuits and chocolate by now, but no, Jimbo's fence has stolen thunder. I kind of feel like you need to video this fence so that people can see exactly what is being spoken about here.
Jesus Christ! I mean, if it's come to that, then yeah, fair. I might, but do we really want that?
No,
trust me,
we don't. But it's interesting you said Jesus Christ when we're previewing 2 Easter games, isn't it?
He's not been helping me with my fence at all. I mean,
sure as though ain't been helping me, ain't been helping our football team either, has he? His namesake Christ has, thankfully. Let's turn it back to football. Mark, Derby versus Luton. If you're a Luton fan of any historical period like we are, there's only one day that comes into your mind with regards to this one. That was obviously back in May 1990. One of the hottest days football has ever been played in, but one of the best days Luton Town have ever played in.
And we played in this shirt.
In this blue?
Yes. So is that a no that we have to play in blue on Friday?
I don't
or
know.
Navy?
Yeah, I hope we do play in blue, actually.
But no, I'll forever remember that because we had to win, and didn't Sheffield Wednesday and Forest play, and that had to go our way as well.
I think Sheffield Wednesday had to lose, didn't they? I think it was.
Yeah,
think it was that
but
one.
I'm just like, who's who's going to be the Tim Breaker on Friday that's going to score from 40 yards?
Well, therein is the question. Yeah, if you don't know what we're on about, if you're too young, Google it. Derby versus Luton 1990 and look for Tim Breaker's goal. Amazingly, in that 140th anniversary video that the club put out, that goal wasn't in it. Spring's goal at Watford wasn't in it. And Radian Teach's goal wasn't in it. Just 3 of the biggest goals that we've scored in that 140-year history. But yeah, listen, anyone who was at the baseball ground, not Pride Park, the baseball ground that afternoon, you'll never forget it. I'm talking to you as if you have, but I know you haven't, because it's definitely one of the big days in our history. And Jimbo, this could be another if we can get the same result.
It has to be. Otherwise, it will be another big day in the history, just not the kind of one we want for the record books.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. 3-2, the Town won. Of course, we won 3-2. We won every big game 3-2 at that time, didn't we? And have done since then. 3-2 on Friday would be rather nice. I'm going to keep calling it Saturday. I'm not used. Last season in the Premier League, we only played on Easter Saturday, didn't we? Didn't have none of this Friday, Monday, mumbo jumbo. I'm not going to ask you two if it's must win. None of us are stupid. We all know that it's must win. You draw this game, you're still 4 points adrift, putting the goal difference into play. You've only got 9 to play for. You're literally one result the wrong way and you're relegated. So yes, it's must win. However, as I alluded to in the last podcast when I was trying to fill that glass up half full, if we do win, we do go level on points with Derby. We do have a 3-game shootout between us and them to try and get 1 more point than them. It is still doable, but we really, really have to put absolutely every egg in the winning basket here, and that's not Easter eggs, that's eggs. We'll save the Easter eggs for Sunday, and just give this absolutely everything we've got. There's not even a worry about Monday. Monday we'll just have to be worried about on Monday, and let's be honest, it's going to be a hard game on Monday, and we'll come on to it shortly, but it's irrelevant if we don't win on Friday.
That's it. In some ways, maybe that sort of settles it in people's minds a little bit, that there is no wiggle room whatsoever. You have to go up there and win, and it's going to be a very difficult task, because up until the weekend, Luton were one of the form teams at the bottom. Derby are one of the form teams in the division, because they've gone on a run as well, and it's going to be very difficult. And it's going to be difficult because we're not scoring goals, and we have to. So if somebody's going to do a Tim Breaker, they've been practicing not very well against Blackburn at the weekend. It's about time someone whacks it in the onion bag.
Be nice if they had Peter Shilton in goal, wouldn't it? I mean, he's done us a turn or two over the years, hasn't he?
Peter Shilton now aged. Yeah,
yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was Peter Shilton that day, but it would be nice if he's in there now. I mean, they are riding their luck though, Derby. Right, Saturday, Portsmouth missed a penalty. I say missed a penalty. Goalkeeper saved a penalty. Their second goal, Derby's second goal, was an own goal. Thankfully, the fella who scored the own goal made up for it by scoring both of Portsmouth's 2 goals. But they're not, yes, their form's good, but it's kind of like us, where you could pick holes in our performances. You kind of get the impression that's the case with Derby. They are very, very stretched defensively, Derby. They've signed Eric Peters, who was here as the makeshift stopgap. They signed him recently. He played at the weekend, I think. Obviously, they've got Sonny Bradley out on loan at Wickham. That's obviously a plan that they'd have aborted had they have known that they were getting the defensive injuries that we thought was only attributed to us. So they are able to be exposed at the back. We've got to go on, and this is a game where I know we've been relying on defence and everything else, but we've got to make our attack count now.
And I think we've said this many times, that the first goal is absolutely massive. In a game that we have to win, you don't want to be chasing the game to get the win. It's not like a draw. Like if this was like a month or so ago, I think, well, I mean, I was looking at where I thought the points might come to, and if we beat Blackburn, then I think a draw against Derby wouldn't have been the worst result. But because of what happened against Blackburn, we're now down to a genuine, legitimate must-win game.
We are indeed. As a football fan, it's exciting though, Jimbo, because, there's no second chances from here. We have, as fans in the terraces, and there's going to be I mean, we're into our third allocation, aren't we, for away fans? The first two have sold out. So we're going to have close on 3,000 fans there on Friday. 12:30 kickoff for those who didn't know, and those who aren't going can watch the game on Sky Sports. But those that are going, these are the games that as a football fan, you're right up for. You're right behind it. You know, the jeopardy is huge. The players will know it. They won't need anyone to get themselves up for this. They also know they've got a point to prove after Saturday as well. And generally, when they have a point to prove, they prove it. Even this season, when they stunk the place out at Sheffield United, I know we had an international break, but we went and beat Watford. When we stunk the place out against Middlesbrough, we went and beat Cardiff. When we stunk the place out at Burnley, we went and beat Cardiff. So even in a poor season, that point to prove thing has still happened. We've not got a bigger point to prove than what we've got right now. Go and prove it as one. Us in the stands and them on the pitch. They can beat Derby. We've done it. We've beaten Derby in our lowest times this season under Rob. Let's go and beat them in our. Okay, I know it feels low after Saturday, but it's not really. It's only one defeat in 7 or whatever it is. Let's go and beat them in one of our better times.
So it's crying out for someone to be a hero. A bit like we're referring to Tim Breaker in 20 years' time, then whoever it is that steps forward and becomes a hero, we could be talking about that moment in 10 years, 20 years' time.
Do you know, I'm kind of gutted that James Collins and Sonny Bradley have left because it's got Mick Harford own goal written all over it if one of them two was still there.
Well, yeah.
That's the following year, 1991, when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, we've used upward our omens so far. It's just got to be a good old-fashioned take it to them and win without trying to rely on any of this superstitious nonsense because...
What you mean, like reverse psychology?
Oh, we've gone there early.
Listen, we invite you into this podcast and you come at me with that. Let me correct you there. That was science. Sometimes science gets proved wrong and other theories come out. That's just how the world works. Science is not an absolute thing. That was science. So on we move. Listen, they've got a point to prove to a lot of people, and probably me still included, who think that the defeat against Blackburn was the one that sealed it. And there's if there's any sort of hope or miracle is going to be happening, it has to be now. It can't be any. There's nothing. There's no other wiggle room whatsoever. It has to happen, and if they win, then maybe that glass gets topped up a little bit. It's been a very, very hard, horrible slog of a season, and people are feeling it. People are tired from it. It's hard. It really is, and it's hard to watch games like that one against Blackburn and not feel a sense of frustration and fury about what's going on. I get it. So I want them to surprise me. I want them to really, really show me something that I have not seen this season.
Blimey, O'Reilly, in a good way, I hope. Let's park Blackburn from here on in, right? Because we can't do nothing about it. It's gone. It was Reading. We won 3 of the last 4 and drew the other in the Great Escape. Let's hope that that's where we're going at from here. They're not a great side, Derby. If they were a great side, they wouldn't be in the bottom 3 or one above the bottom 3, whichever way round it is now. They keep on flipping them and Cardiff. But they have picked up under John Eustace. That's fair enough. That was always going to happen. That's probably why he left Blackburn. He did this with Birmingham as well, didn't he? Got them going, and then he did it with Blackburn last season once he got sacked from Birmingham. This is nothing new, but they haven't pulled clear. I think most people would have expected them to pull right away by now, and they haven't done that. So there is no reason to think that this is going to be anything other than a tense, tight relegation battle, horrible game. There's going to be nerves in their end. There's going to be nerves in our end. There's going to be nerves on their side. There's going to be nerves on our side. We've just got to manage the situation better. And it might be in our favour that a lot of the players that are here went through this last season. I know they didn't come out on the right side of it, but the emotions that they're going to be feeling, we felt them recently, whereas Derby have been at the top end of League One last season and didn't really have those sorts of nerves.
Yeah, And I think the league position and the points situation, will Derby see this as like a point will keep the gap to what it is, or do they see it as, are they seeing it in our situation that it's a big game they've got to win, and a win would they see it as a win will virtually keep them up? It'll be interesting on their mindset, whereas I think our mindset is it's a must win, and it's minds are clear and focused on what has to happen. As I know fans talk about must win games, like almost seems like every week when you get down to the last 10 games, whereas the team, definitely from Matt, it will not come out and say that, and from the players, they probably don't say it, although we don't know. But
I think that he will. He will do now. I think after the Blackburn game, he recognised that they have to go and win this game. So I think that it is going to have to be talked about in that way. As much as they might not want to, the pressure's on.
And it'll be interesting if in their minds it's a must-win game. Does he approach it any differently? I know we've talked about back four, back five, and how do we get this team set up that we're going to score goals, which has been our problem. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it, whether it's any different or whether he's going to stick to his the format the same way, in that if we nick a goal and we win it 1-0, it's the same as if we go all guns blazing and try and blow them away, which we know won't happen just because of the situation will dictate a nervy game, and I think there's more chance of it. Can we nick a goal? But Derby score goals. They've been scoring goals recently, so I think it's just going to be interesting how they go about it. Obviously, it depends on who's fit. I know Izzy Jones had a sickness bug, but for me, it's going to be interesting how they approach a must-win game.
Yeah, I mean, we say Derby score goals. Before Saturday, though, they'd gone 2 games without scoring, so you can keep them out. Their strikers are probably more associated with League One than the Championship. Jerry Yates, I think he's on loan from Swansea, but most of his sort of best works are done at Blackpool in League One. And Mendes Lang up front. I mean, he's been around donkey's years, hasn't he? They were the 2 that played up front at Portsmouth on Saturday. They've got 10 injuries according to Flash Scores, or they had 10 injuries at the weekend. I don't know if they've still got them. We don't follow them very strongly, but I do know that they're light defensively, which might be a reason why they're scoring goals, because they're going at it all guns blazing. They're not keeping clean sheets, though. That's the thing. That is the kind of thing that I'm holding on to. They kept a clean sheet against Preston in that game after the Preston got knocked out of the cup, didn't they? I have a funny feeling. I did watch bits of that game, and you could tell that Preston's balloon had burst in that game. So I'm not really holding much light in that. Of course, they kept Burnley out. Lots of teams keep Burnley out, even though they're second in the table. You give them credit for that one. But I look through their results, and teams are scoring against them, Jimbo. There's no reason why we can't, but we are going to have to show a lot more intent to score than what we have been doing. It's just, at some point, we're kind of like a car that's moving, but they've forgotten to take the handbrake off. Well, the handbrake's got to be firmly down, and the pedal and the accelerator's got to be pushed down as well now. Otherwise, we're not going to limp to 50 points. We're going to have to go out and get 50 points, or 10 points to get to 50 points.
Yeah, for me, I just want a bit more structure on how they're going to try and score goals, because if it's just another case of lumping it up to Morris, then I fear for the worst, because that hasn't worked a lot. It didn't work against Blackburn. And when you've got players that can get down the flanks, if they're on it, as in Ali and Jones, then you've got to try and use that. I'd like a bit more. I watch a lot of, when you watch a lot of games, do you see recently that went viral this week about the Gary Neville thing, where he's saying far too much central defenders and fullbacks having the ball? And I agree. They're not the ones that can play it, as we see regularly, because it just gets whacked up to nobody. And I don't want to see that. I want Liam Walsh on the ball. I want him to play it to Jordan Clark. I want them to use the flanks, Millie Ali, Jones. I want them to play it into the feet of Carlton Morris because he can hold people off and then he can bring people in. All of that is an option, but not this Route 1 stuff because I'm sick of it, to be honest.
Yeah, listen, the Route 1 stuff served a purpose. It served a purpose against Portsmouth, who didn't have any centre-backs. They had Marlon Pack at centre-back. It served a purpose against Middlesbrough, who had 2 midfielders as centre-backs. It doesn't serve a purpose against Beefcakes. It didn't serve a purpose against Sheffield United. I know we had a few chances, but they weren't from banging the ball long. It didn't really serve a purpose against Stoke. Certainly didn't serve a purpose against them 2 Beefcakes on Saturday at Blackburn. And the back three here, or the back three that they played at Portsmouth, Matt Clark, who's been around the Championship for God knows how long, been at Middlesbrough and things like that. Nat Phillips, who I think they've got in on loan from Liverpool, and a foreign guy who I don't really know too much about. But either way, the other 2, it's meat and drink, banging the ball up to them. However, they play 3 at the back. Now, we've played 3 at the back all season long, and what kills 3 at the back? Wide players with pace. What have we got? 2 wide players with pace. Let's put them in a formation now with nothing to lose. There is nothing to lose. You know, you're going down anyway, as it stands. So you might as well go down trying something different because what is insanity? Blah, 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 blah. So let's try something different. Let's have Jones wide out on the right and having a go at their left-hand channel. Let's have Millie Ali wide out on the left, having a go at the other side, and let's go at them because every bloody pacey winger in this league has killed us until we found that organisation, and they clearly haven't got that organisation because they don't keep clean sheets. There is the route to our success, right? Go for it with the pace that we have brought. We've got Josh Bowler as well. If we want to play Izzy Jones at right back with Bowler in front of him, that's absolutely fine with me. He got an awful lot of stick on Saturday, Bowler. He's not an 8. He's never been a number 8 in his life. He started the season at Preston playing right wing back. Now we're playing him as an 8 because we brought him and putting him in a formation that it doesn't work. There's no Alfie Doughty now. Let's find a formation that works for Millie Ali, that works for Izzy Jones, that works for Tahith Chong, that works for Tello Asgard and Liam Walsh. That's 5 players. That's half your team then that it really, really suits. And those 5 players, I am convinced, can beat Derby County. Of course, we need the supporting cast around them. But if those 5 players play to their peak potential, we'll have enough to win this game.
Yeah, that's the thing, peak potential. I mean, but that on paper, that's what we've been saying all season.
But that's for them to find now, isn't it? If you can't find your peak potential in this game as a player, you shouldn't be playing. But the manager has to put them in a structure now where their potential can come out. Chong's potential can't come out playing the way we played on Saturday. Listen, I'm not his biggest fan. He's got a lot to prove to me, right? Scored one of the greatest goals I'll always remember against Liverpool, and I'll always be grateful for that. But I want the Birmingham Chong to suddenly wear that orange shirt that's behind me and show me that Birmingham Chong still exists. But he ain't going to do that in that formation that we played the other day, in that style that we played the other day. Matt talks about him being one of the biggest players at this club, and that's why he started him rather than bring Nordas in when Elijah got injured against Leeds. Give him the chance to show it then. Put him in a formation, a structure and a style, and put the onus on him and say, right, we are going to get you the ball as much as we possibly can at your feet. You reward me by going and winning the game for us.
Well, yeah, I think that's what everybody would love to see. I was actually saying it at the weekend against Blackburn, saying I don't recall him ever really putting in a performance like he did when he ripped us to shreds in that Birmingham game.
He had more assists in that game than he's had in 67 in a Luton shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it speaks volumes. And also, he's just come back from injury as well. So all the other players so far really haven't hit the straps straight away coming back from injury. And so, and there was a lot on Saturday that looked unbelievably rusty. That you like, some of them, there's no need to play them. And, you know, I appreciate that Mengi's come back and you want to be involved, but you don't need to play him. You certainly don't need to be telling him to try and play diagonal balls across the park that weren't happening. But you know, Chong is one player that can do it, but often hasn't. So yeah, it's certainly a day for him to stand up and be counted if he's going to be playing.
Well, I mean, you're looking for a hero, Mark. He's the prime example, isn't he? Because he's got quality in them feet, and we need to see him now.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about heroes. I mean, everyone needs to come to the party, but Asgard is, for me, if we're going to win this game, he just, for me, he finds those pockets of space. He makes things happen. He can run with the ball, and he has a habit, from what I've seen, of taking defenders or taking opposition players out of position. So yes, everyone needs to play well, and Jones and Ali need to frighten them with their pace. But it might sound an obvious thing to say, but if we're going to win this game, and we're going to impact the game with creating chances and scoring goals, then Asgard is, to me, he's the one player that just has that little bit extra, little quality, and he can impact the game massively. And he can, with what he does, he brings other players into the game, and with what Walsh does, and Walsh has been brilliant. We've talked about how good Walsh has been, but and we've said, like, the strikers are struggling. We're not getting goals from the strikers, and we've talked about we've had goals chipped in from Clicker, Asgard. So yeah, that, to me, that's if Asgard has a good game and he influences the game, then I think that's our way to hurt Derby.
It is, yeah. How are you lining this up, Jimbo? If you're Matt Bloomfield, how are you putting this starting 11 together?
4 at the back,
Which
would be Amari'i, Bell,
left to right,
left back, unless you're going to replace him with Cow. McGuinness and Makoso in the middle, and probably Izzy Jones on the right. The midfield 3 of Clark, Liam Walsh and Asgard doesn't change. They haven't done anything wrong there. Miliali on the right hand side of, or just behind the striker, and after that, I might be Josh Bowler in that. I know people aren't going to like that, but that's more the role he was brought into play, and he did have an impact at Stoke. So yeah, probably put him in there. And then it'll have to be Morris up front. There are no other options that are doing it at the moment. He's not doing it at the moment, but he is, when you play to his strengths, and he is winning balls in the air. And if you can hold it up and flick it on, then he can do that. Then it would have to be that. So that would be my team.
Yes, fair enough. One thing to point out, they concede a lot of penalties, Derby. Might be nothing, might be something. But if they do, I want Carlton Morris on the pitch taking it. That's one thing I definitely do want. Do you disagree with his 11?
One thing I've noticed...
Please disagree with his 11.
One thing I've noticed, which with Christ, is he's just been an immense player, but when he was taken off at Stoke, we thought it was just resting him for the Blackburn game, but he was also taken off on Saturday against Blackburn, and I don't believe that it was a tactical decision or a resting decision. So is there a question mark on his fitness? Was he one of the ones that had a bug? So potentially, if he's fit, he plays, but to the same extent, he's been taken off twice, and he's one of the most dominant players we've had. So is there something in that?
Well, as we were told, it was just Izzy Jones that was really suffering, and we didn't get any other names. So I'm not sure about why he took him off, really, because he was still one of the best players on the park. And
I think it was just literally to get minutes into Burke and Mengi, wasn't it? But as we said in the last one, I'm sorry, but results got to dictate who gets minutes and who don't get minutes. And I keep on saying on this podcast, I just don't understand why under-21 games don't get used for some of these players who are coming back from injuries. Mengi in particular, he looked like he hadn't touched a ball for 4 months when it first came to him. That sounds harsh on Mengi, and I'm really not being harsh. I wouldn't expect a guy who's not been on a football pitch for 4 months to be bang on it straight away, particularly if they've not played that under-21 game. But, it's... The defence has improved because of Christ. I mean, here we go. Christ on Good Friday, he's going to be ill, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, yeah, there might be something in it, but he's given the indication that, well, he's certainly at Stoke. He said it was to get Burke some minutes on the pitch, didn't he? No. Win the game. I hope we do get them two on the pitch, by the way, Mengi and Burke, because we're 3-0 up and taking a couple of strikers off, and it's not going to happen, but that's what I'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think there isn't a need to get them in there. We've talked up Reece Burke for years since he's been here, but he's come back into a defence which has improved dramatically, and Mengi I don't see where he fits in. If
Well, we've got too much choice, haven't we?
The substitution on Saturday they didn't work. So that's got to be looked at in the analysis and go, well, we won't do that again. What's the point? It was literally Blackburn just defended deep, and we couldn't score a goal. So we've got to figure out how to score a goal if that's going to happen. I don't know if Derby will come out and play effective. They might have to just look at the Blackburn game and this is how we don't lose to them, because they just don't have to lose.
No, they don't though, do they? Because if Cardiff get a result at Sheffield United on Friday night, they're back in the relegation zone even if they draw. Derby have to win this game. This is a home game against one of 3 teams below them in the table. Yeah. Derby have to win this game. This is every bit as much win for Derby as it is for us, unless they're relying on Cardiff not picking up another point. Don't forget that last game, Derby against Stoke, still got all sorts of connotations riding over it, but Derby have got a couple of tougher games before they get there. Derby aren't in a position where they can just play for a point here. They're not. And that is very much to our advantage, because there will be space in behind them. When they commit and how they commit, that's up to them. That's why I'm saying hit them with pace so that when they do commit, we've got that Leeds goal in our favour where we can just pounce on the counter-attack. And, okay, we haven't got Elijah, but we've got to find someone else to do that part of the equation. But I would be amazed if Derby are time wasting and are playing this like a draw is a good result. I just can't see any way that it is.
No, that's what I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yeah, they'll go for the win, but if they have to settle for a draw, that'll be fine for them. If they have to, where it's not going to be for us. We have to win that game. A draw is nothing. It won't. Yeah, it's not going to cut the mustard.
And I see that as a positive because there's clarity of mind.
Yeah,
and no offence to footballers, but they're portrayed as not the brightest buttons in the world. So if you've got clarity of thought in your mind, whereas, like you say, Derby might get into a mode where do they stick, do they twist, and get caught in between the two, that has to be to our advantage. When we went there 35 years ago, Luton had to win. You didn't even need to worry about the Sheffield Wednesday Forest game, because until Luton were winning, it was an irrelevance. Once Tim Breaker scored that goal, then all of a sudden, if 1990 was today, we'd all have been on the mobile phones finding out what the hell's happening at Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, back then you couldn't. You was just praying that when you got the result through, it went in our favour.
It was transistor radios back then, wasn't it? Bring back that.
I weren't that rich.
Getting on the old transistor radio.
I weren't that rich, Jimbo. Crikey, I was only an 8-year-old kid. Transistor radios, you're on a giraffe, and you? And even then you had to rely on a person with it telling you the truth and not pulling a fast one.
Yeah, but that's what it was. You've seen the images on YouTube, and you go and look at it if you're too young to have noticed it. That's back in our day. That's how you used to get news of like final day results elsewhere. You had to listen to a little portable radio that you brought into the game with you.
The worst thing is if you weren't at the game, you banged 302 on CFAX, and you were waiting for FT to appear next to it, weren't you? And the bloody thing would not update for love nor money.
Now you're going to have to explain to the young'uns what CFAX is.
Teletext.
Now you're going to have to explain to the young'uns what teletext is. Honestly, different world, mate.
It is a different world, but that's where we were at back in 1990. Yeah, listen, I think Derby are in a... Yeah, I'm talking myself into thinking that Derby are in a weird position here, and we've got to make it weird. And Mark's absolutely right with what he said earlier in this podcast. The first goal here feels like 3 goals. We score it, we can protect it. We've protected 1-0 against Portsmouth. Forget the header. protected 1-0 against Portsmouth. We saw out the Cardiff game when we went ahead, no problem. Saw out the whole game 1-0. Kaminsky made one save. We can protect a 1-0 lead all of a sudden. Obviously, I'm equating and I'm asking for pacing in attacking areas and a more attacking outlook, but that doesn't mean to say that when we go 1-0 up that Izzy Jones doesn't cross the halfway line and that we just filter in back into our back five like we did at the weekend and just bring Millie Ali back a little bit. It's absolutely fine when we do it when we're 1-0 up. And if they go 1-0 up and we've got to score twice, I know we did it against Cardiff, but all of a sudden you're like, not sure about that. So this first goal is absolutely massive on an afternoon, which is, it's got twists and turns written all over it. And then hopefully we win the game. We're back in the car, get home. We're all going to be in the pub, aren't we, watching Sheffield United Cardiff, because that suddenly becomes a monumental game in our season then.
Yeah, but the first goal is just crucial for Luton at the moment because the lack of goals that they're scoring, it's all important. There was just almost a collective amount of shock when Blackburn scored that goal at the weekend because they hadn't offered it in the first place, so you weren't thinking a goal's imminent here. And then you're going, well, how are we going to score here? Because we hadn't looked like it, and we still didn't look like it after 9 minutes of added time. So that's the problem.
And the other thing to take into account is how our away form has improved. So beginning of the season, we couldn't win away and all our points were coming at home, whereas that role seems to have reversed now. And the last 3 away games, the point at Stoke, the win at Hull, and then we got the other win.
Draw against Stoke.
Did I say win against Stoke?
Sorry, the 3 away wins. We've only got 3 away wins, haven't we? Millwall, Cardiff, Hull.
But Hull and Cardiff, and then backed up with the draw at
Stoke. Yeah.
So I mean, we've got that. We haven't got that worry about the away form. The away form's picked up, so I never thought I'd be saying it, but are we a bit more confident going away than the home form hasn't brought the wins?
What you're saying is, can we play Bristol City at Ashton Gate and Coventry at the CBS Arena? Yeah, I can kind of see it. Absolutely, we do look a much better side away from home because teams come at us and we soak up pressure. I think we struggle when the expectancy and the onus is on us to go and get a result. Crikey, Mark and I have supported Luton for far too long. We are the worst favourites going around. We are the worst favourites. We always have been. The best underdogs that you'll see in football, but the worst favourites. When you see bookmakers' odds and they've got us as favourites, can't pull the other one. Make it out that we're the underdogs.
I didn't have any grey hair for the game in 1990. Now look at me.
My fingernails have got no chance on Good Friday, let me tell you.
But I also think, talking about the away form, is that the reason we struggled for so long was because teams didn't have to work hard to score goals. And because we're more solid at the back, if you look at a perfect away game, it's like keep it tight at the back, get an opportunity, take it, stay solid, and then you walk away with the away win, a bit like we did at Hull. But now that we're not conceding and we're a lot stronger at the back, that's conducive to a positive away performance, and that's what I think could happen. And there's more confidence that the defence will keep it tight, and if we get a chance and we take it, then there's opportunities for points.
There's the potential for this to be the complete opposite of what Luton games have been. Derby are a very direct side. They'll put lots of balls in the box, whether it's from wide positions or diagonals from back to front. They are very much like that. I haven't watched Derby relentlessly this season because they tend to play when Luton play, but I saw that Preston game recently. They were on television against Portsmouth, I think it was. No, Portsmouth the weekend. Sorry, on television against QPR in one of Eustace's first games. They're very direct. I know a fair bit about Eustace. My best mate's Blackburn fan. He's been there for 2 years. They're a direct side. And that's fine because we can soak up directness now. We did it at Stoke. We can soak that up and then hit on the counter-attack. In terms of the game of football style, I think this suits us. We've already beaten them this season. I really do. This is all about the mentality now. Now, we got it completely wrong on Saturday, mentality-wise. There wasn't the intensity. There wasn't the physicality. There wasn't the purpose in the game that we all expected. There can't be any of that. There absolutely cannot be any of that. And if there isn't, I am confident that we win this game. Does that mean we stay up? No, there's still a heck of a lot of work to do. But I look at the two sides, bearing in mind they were a League One side last season, we were a Premier League side last season. Maybe that gulf isn't as big, but I do still think us at our best, and we have to be that on Friday. There's no requirement for anything less. I still think that us at our best is good enough to beat this Derby side. As I said, we were shit against them at home, and we still beat them. They went ahead, and we still turned it round. There's so many things that we're worried about that we've actually ticked off already. Carlton scored twice, didn't he, in that game, in the home game? Maybe this is the game that he comes to life. You know, it's there for us to win.
And I will have a pint of what you're having, please, because
it's orange. It's Orange Oasis at the minute, Jimbo. But feel free to help yourself to a pint of it.
Yeah, that is an option. All those things are on the table. Clearly, I'm not quite with you at the moment because
give him some jump leads and get him into life, will you? Crikey, O'Reilly.
Hey, what I said before, I'm just a sucker for the evidence, and I'm fearful of this game, to be honest. I'd like it to be the other way, exactly what you're proclaiming, but I'm not on the same page, unfortunately, this time.
Man can only try, folks. A man can only try. Let's hope we've got the win against Derby, and then Bristol City come to town in another massive game. First rule of thumb in this game: if you're watching, Harry, you do not come back to haunt us, Harry Cornick, in this game. Stay as far away from it as possible. We don't need none of that nonsense.
Is he even playing? I don't think he is he?
He scored the other way.
I was going to say, I'm sure he scored somewhere along the line.
Must have been on the pitch to score.
that can be his customary one goal a season. Then
don't talk him down. Just make sure he,
And whatever happens, Thomas Kaminski, look behind you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Last time Harry was chasing the playoffs. Yeah. Good point.
Well, I mean, I don't want him to be anywhere near the pitch just in case that eventuality happens, because it would be absolutely sod's law. Because when you talk about this season about not being able to score goals, it's not the first time. It's not the first season. That season, he needed chance after chance after chance to score one, as was exhibited in the playoff semi-final at Huddersfield when he should have scored and he didn't. And for me, Bristol City stitched him up massively by giving him a number 9 shirt, because he's never that player, never ever. So I've got nothing against Harry Cornick. I always thought he was a top lad, but he didn't have much killer instinct. So hopefully he doesn't play to even shove those words down my throat, because to be honest though, with Bristol City, I find them really only based off the performances that they came down to our that we went up there for. They are the anomaly of how they're in the playoffs, if that was their usual fare, because I didn't think they were good at all, but we were worse because we couldn't score goals. They scored an absolute stunner, and we couldn't break them down. So if they want to play like that again, and Luton can raise their performance levels, then I'd be kind of more confident about that game in a way than the Derby one. I don't ask why, total gut feel, but that's where I am at the moment.
So we've agreed we're better away than we are at home. Derby are a weaker side than Bristol City, but you're more confident of a home game against Bristol City than you are an away game against Derby.
It doesn't have to make sense, folks. It's just what I'm feeling. I just didn't think they were that good, and it was one of those games that was really frustrating because they only scored that banger, Scott, from a million miles away in top corner, and that was it. And then Luton couldn't break them down. They were great.
Yeah, that's the other rule in this Bristol City game, Town. If you see Scott Twine's right foot coming backwards, sprint out to him this time. Do not let him shoot from 25 yards, because that does happen an awful lot. He was on their bench on Saturday. 1 defeat in 11 for Bristol City. Obviously, we're recording this ahead of the Sunderland game on Good Friday, and let's hope they take a good hiding in that and knock their confidence. But they're looking good for the playoffs, which is kind of unheard of, really. They're one of those sides, a bit like Preston, who live in the middle of the championship table, so they're doing something right. But a lot of their wins are at home. I think I'm right in saying that they are without a win in 3 away from home.
I mean, it's very unlike, as you said, very unlike Bristol City. I think they've finished between 12th and 15th for however many years, and they usually have a run and then sort of tail away. And when the fixtures came out, or when we were looking at potential games, we're like, well, Bristol City, they'll have nothing to play for by the time they come to us. But how wrong we are. I haven't seen a lot of them, but the only reference I can make is to the game that we played, and that day was 2 poor sides separated by 1 quality goal. But you're right about Scott Twine, and whether we were in for him at the time or not, we don't want that to come back to haunt us like it did with Tom Cannon at Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, no Cal, even if he's included, no Cal Naismith for this game. Bristol City on Monday. It's not a bad thing right now. Obviously, as long as we don't pick up any defensive injuries on Monday. I wonder if that'll influence the Friday selection, actually, because he can't play Monday. Does Cal play instead of Amari'i Bell on Friday? Can both play that role pretty well. It's a strong ask to ask everyone to play 2 games in 3 days. These are going to be high intensity, even if they're low in quality, like relegation battles tend to be. Maybe, and I don't know if he's in favour. He might be completely bang out of favour because he ain't seen a football pitch since he walked off at Burnley, has he? But maybe you put him in on Friday.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned if there was going to be a change for a Bell, it would be Naismith for me, and he's better on the ball. I'd be comfortable with that if that happens. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it,
makes a lot of sense.
I'm going to swap that formation that I mentioned earlier and put Naismith in for Bell, because we need that quality on the ball, because we didn't have any of it really on Saturday.
Yep, past master at relegation battles as well. Naismith in, well, many of the clubs that he's been at. Should know a bit about Bristol City, though. That could help.
And he knows where the goal is.
Oh, he does. Yes, he absolutely does. He's saving that for the Great Escape conclusion, I think.
Maybe this time he'll be able to get his shirt off when he rolls away and celebrating a last-minute winner.
Yeah, just hope he hasn't been booked before you do it, Cal. Maybe he's your Tim Breaker on Friday, you know. Hero from out of nowhere. Got a point to prove, Liam Walsh style, after a sending off. That's the way to prove it, Cal. 35 yards, top bins, cut inside, chop a few, and then Bournemouth style.
Just put him up front. Did it for Portsmouth, didn't he?
Yeah, he went in goal for Portsmouth, though. I wouldn't want him there either.
By the way, I just looked at the stats, because I don't recall Cornick playing much. He's played 4 games this season. His last one was well over a month ago, so I'm not sure that we'll be seeing him.
Good. Come and sit in the home end, Harry. It's fine. Not a problem whatsoever. We'll accommodate you, mate. All good. That's them 2 games sorted out. Listen, it's a massive, massive Easter period. If it all goes tits up, that could be that mathematically, let alone philosophically. Let's hope that's not the case. Everything we've got at Derby, and if we win, let's get Kenilworth Road rocking again on Monday. Let's get that happy hour malarkey going. No TV trucks. Let's get that bar put up. Hopefully the weather's nice. Let's get them throats oiled and go from there. We won't leave you without score predictions. Jimbo, you can go first for Derby against Luton Town. How does it end? No reverse psychology nonsense. We've done that.
I don't know what to do here, mate. I've been just absolutely leaning on reverse psychology for the win, and it all came tumbling down at the weekend, didn't it? I don't know if I can go for it anymore. Is it dead? Do you want it back? I'm gonna shelve it for today, people. But if you want it back, let me know. But
didn't you say that reverse psychology only got us 1 win?
1 win, yeah. Oh. Babbling on like it's been the saviour to all of our problems. 1 win.
Hey,
at least
the form was good.
At least you're smiling.
yeah. Pulled the wool over some people's eyes, didn't I? Well, Maybe I'm just going to have to go for a proper scoreline and try and win this head-to-head that me and you have got that you think you've got a chance in.
You're right. Go back to this reverse psychology nonsense.
I think genuinely, because of what I said earlier, that unfortunately I don't think Luton will win against Derby. I want them to. If it's, it might be reverse psychology for a win by the back door, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a draw. Honestly, just going to be a draw. 1-1.
Mark,
It's going to be 1990 again. Not the scoreline, but the result. And we're going to win 2-1. And I just feel like 1990, we're going to get a worldie from somebody.
yeah, glass half full from me too. 2-0 to Luton for this one, and we'll get that first goal. They'll overcommit, and we'll pinch one on the break just to make it a little bit more comfortable in the last 5 or so minutes than what it has been in recent wins.
I want yours to come true, but yeah, my optimism of the last month has been diminished to glass half empty at the moment.
Don't take much to diminish your optimism, does it? One defeat.
And
Where's your fighting spirit, man?
and as well as, obviously, most importantly, want to win to enhance our chances of staying up. From a personal, selfish point of view, I'm walking 7 days. I don't want to walk 7 days to not get a win.
Exactly, yeah. Boys, he's walking. You're getting driven up in a coach, staying in a nice hotel Thursday night. He's walking. Get a win for him.
And even though I've walked 7 days and we score the winner, I'll be the first to jump up and down like...
Absolutely. And once you've won for him because he's walking on Friday, guess what? He's walking on Monday as well. You can win for him then as well, lads. And yeah, go from there. Luton v Bristol City. How does that one finish, Mark?
Oh, I'm actually more nervous about Bristol City because the home form, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm sort of, the way the away form's going, I'm actually more confident going away from home than I am at home. How does Bristol City go? I've just got a feeling it's going to be a draw. I mean, I know we need to win every game, but I just think it's 1-1.
If we've beaten Derby, a draw is fine. It is, because the worst case scenario, we're 2 points behind Derby with 2 games left to go. I'm not saying we've won it.
Yeah.
Of course, we want 6 points from this Easter weekend, but if we've beaten Derby and we draw against Bristol City, we will not be coming into the studio saying that's the end of the world. We just won't, because we're still right bang in it. The Derby game is the absolute massive game, though. We have to beat Derby. I'm all right with us against Bristol City. I didn't see a great deal from them. I've got a funny feeling at some point along the line their balloon's going to burst. They're a very young side, and they're riding very, very high. Sunderland know how to put teams to the sword. That might dent them on Friday. You don't get an easy game against Sunderland. You're chasing the ball around anyway. 1-0 Luton in that game. 2 clean sheet City. This 1-0 Luton. We're not conceding a goal over Easter.
I was going to go for a clean sheet as well, but unfortunately not going to score either. So I was thinking 0-0.
Well, that's something for everyone to look forward to over the Easter weekend, isn't it, eh? Have all your chocolate on Sunday because you're watching a 0-0 draw on Monday.
I don't want it to be true. In fact, I want it to be completely wrong. I want humble pie served to me whatsoever. I don't want any of it to be true. But yeah, the vibe around it at the moment is a bit worrying.
What's that Jose quote? If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Not in trouble with me.
Fair enough. Good. Get your score predictions into us. This one's going to be out nice and early for you, but please make it perfectly clear which one is for which game. Just for when it comes to totting up the leaderboard and everything, I've not got to do no guesswork. Might have a sherbet or two over the weekend. Got a funny feeling I'm going to need it with all the nerves and everything else that's going to happen. So the less guessing I have to do, the better for you guys, because I could guess it all completely wrong. When it comes to the leaderboard, which could be won by the next time we're sat in the studio, Jimbo.
It could be, yeah. So Claire's been at the top for a very long time. So
comments coming in as well. We'll have much more time to action all of them this week. Do you agree with Jimbo's team selection? Not many do. As it happens, I don't. But I'm not too far away from him. Where it goes with that Derby game, I'm not really that bothered who plays left back, whether it's Cal or whether it's Amari'i. If we can't play Amari'i in both games, then Cal in the Derby game, obviously. The only difference I've got, he had Bowler on his right wing, didn't he? Or left wing, whichever one it was. I'm having Chong on that. I've just laid the gauntlet down and asked the question of him, are you good enough to deliver us a performance, Chongy? Can't then sit you on the bench once I've asked you to do that. So that's it. Ali one side, Chong the other side, Morris through the middle, normal midfield three. Back three, and whether it's Amari'i or Cal, it's my team. Do you agree with that? How would you go? I'm sure we're going to get lots of start with Nordas's, and that's absolutely fine. That's your opinion. Tell us why you'd start with Nordas, though. What have you seen in Nordas? If you're going to start him over Morris, what have you seen in him that convinces you that that's the right call in a game of this magnitude? Include the game, don't forget, because this is an absolute massive game against Derby. And, yeah, be good to hear all your opinions.
I'd like to know that as well, because people chuck it out like, oh, just put him in because Morris isn't performing. But it hasn't really done anything to suggest that he's the answer at the moment.
That's it. Yeah, we might just have missed something. Listen, we miss things all the time, don't we? We see some things that some of you guys don't. We miss other things, and that's fine. Let us know what we've missed. We'll take it on board and see if we see what we come up with afterwards. Not sure when the review episode's going to be out for this one, folks. School holidays, Easter weekend, Jimbo and myself got lives to live. Got a presentation evening on Wednesday night.
I've got a fence to paint.
Still.
Jimbo's going to be delayed for a fortnight or three to paint his fence and everything. We'll get it done. We'll get it done as close as we possibly can to Tuesday. We hope to get it out to you early on Wednesday. But you know exactly how to find out when it drops.
Subscribe.
Simple as that, folks. Hit that subscribe button. Mark, we haven't got you in to talk about your challenge. We did that last time around. Obviously, by the time this goes out, he's well on his way to Derby and he'll be going to Bristol City as well. However, you're not just a walking, wounded, I suppose I could call you right now at the minute. You are also author of a book, which was about the promotion season and the Premier League season.
Yeah.
How can people get hold of that book? Because it is a really good book.
Hatters, Hills and Heroes. Yeah, it's just my experiences of the brilliant promotion season, the experiences of the Premier League, and also my cycling to all the grounds. And yeah, it's just I enjoyed writing it. It's got a lot of stories in it that probably people don't know, or but yeah, so £17 from each book. I donate £1 to British Heart Foundation, and I was involved in the awareness this with the club to cycle to Stevenage. So £1 goes to British Heart Foundation, and also £1 to Bed's prostate cancer support group. And then it's also get a plug in because on the 27th there's PSC day where people can go and get tested. I know Mick will be there, so they do fantastic work, and what they do, like the donations, help subsidise the cost of getting a test. But being of that age of where it's so important to get tested, then yeah, so sort of I donate to them as well. So yeah, if you want to get the book from me, then just message me on my socials at Mark Crowther 66, or come and see me at the games, and I can get you a copy of the book.
Yep, you won't be disappointed if you do that. That's for sure. Yeah, that PSA testing event is at the club day after the Coventry game. You do have to book a slot. Obviously, you can't just turn up and have your test. You do have to book. All details are on our socials. And yeah, very much encourage all men of that age to get tested. Doesn't take long, and well, could be life-saving. You never know. Obviously, it's all close to all of us with what's happened to Mick, and that's a huge thing that the Trust and the Bed's Prostate Cancer Support Group are sorting out on behalf of Luton fans.
I will put the link on the show notes as well. I think you can get involved.
Excellent. Don't Thanks as always to the Barber Club and the Lower Level in Luton for hosting our studio, to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, and to Ed Smith Creative for all the designs that you see on set. Until next time, where we will review what we hope is a huge 6-point Easter weekend. From Jimbo, from Mark and myself, if you're in that away end on Friday, be as loud as you've ever been. We can still do this, Town. Come on, you Hatters.
I believe our supporters are the best supporters in the country.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care